Mogul Motivation, educating and empowering entrepreneurs 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur who is trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to aspire higher and accomplish that dream. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, along with many more platforms. So it's pretty easy and accessible to subscribe to this podcast. Just pass it on to a friend, and I'm thankful for the podcast growing and the community continuing to grow. You know, as entrepreneurs and dream chasers, whenever we have an idea, we start a business, we start a movement, whatever it is, we start a book, a podcast, or any type of creative idea that we have in our mind, we always start out in the honeymoon stage, right? We start off with that euphoria, we're enthused, we're enthusiastic. Everything is, falling into place. We just ready to go forward and, just crush it and just push through and grow this idea until it becomes, something that we never imagined it could be. But what do you do when that euphoria wears off? The honeymoon stage always comes to an end. I'm not married yet, but honeymoons don't last forever, right? You go on your honeymoon, you come back to regular life. Everything starts out great. Everyone starts out with enthusiasm. We're all hands on deck, but eventually that wears off, right? Because that's life, and that's how the world works. Things fade away, and it's our job to make sure that the fading doesn't continue. We have to continue to, put a fresh coat of paint on wherever the fading occurred. But that euphoria wears off. So what do you do in that moment? I really had to ask myself this recently because my euphoria wore off a long time ago. We're all dealing with pandemic depression. I have dealt with seasonal depression. I posted that on my social media outlets before. So when you have all of that wrapped into a bundle and you still have to deal with the stress of day to day running your business and growing, whatever that idea you have is, it weighs you down and it fades away all of that energy, all of that enthusiasm. So recently I had to ask myself that, like, what am I going to do to get that honeymoon feeling back? What am I going to do so I can finish what I started this year? 2020 has been a rough year for a lot of people for many different reasons, but that doesn't mean we cannot finish what we started. So what do you do? And I told myself I just had to get up and make it happen. So whatever it is that brings you peace, for me is running. I haven't ran in over a month, and I love running, but I haven't ran in over a month. I had to go for a run. I literally just had to do it. I went for a run right here on the lakefront in Chicago, and as I was running, things became so much clearer to me on what I had to do to finish the things that I started. So after I ran, I had that runner's high. I felt great. I came back and I began to work on a task that would get me a little bit closer to crossing that finish line. So for you, it might not be running. For you, it might be swimming. For you, it might be journaling. Whatever it is that brings you peace, do that. You have to step away from your business. You have to step away from your idea. Whatever you are trying to accomplish, you have to step away from it for the moment. And you have to find something that's going to bring you peace, that's going to bring you relaxation. All right? You do that so you can clear your mind, so you can reset yourself, so you can reset your mental energy. And I promise you, if you do this enough, and I'm not saying, you just take a whole sabbatical. If you need to, then cool. But what I'm saying is you have to take a day off. You have to take a couple hours off. You have to take a break to clear your mind for yourself. You see, we've been led to believe that as entrepreneurs and dream chasers, we have to work. And that's not true. Sometimes you gotta take a step back. Sometimes you gotta sit down. Sometimes you gotta say, I need to rest for your benefit so you can get your mental energy back together. And once that mental energy is reloaded, after you pray to God, to your higher power, after that happens, then you get back to what you have to finish. And I promise you, when you get back to it, you're going to have that euphoria again. It's going to be there. And you're going to have the pieces to the puzzle that you couldn't see before. You see, when it comes to finishing what you started, when it comes to pushing through depression, anxiety, and, all of these other factors that are stopping you as an entrepreneur and as a dream chaser, it's not about hitting home runs. It's about baby steps. Because as long as you're taking baby steps, you are still moving forward. You are still getting closer to what you need to accomplish. Regardless of your depression, your anxiety, or whatever factors are trying to stop you, you're still going forward. Alottle Bit. You see, it's not about the home run. It's not about taking huge strides. Sometimes it's about just moving forward just a little bit. And the more you move forward just a little bit, it's going to turn into a Alottle Bit. That's how you push through. That's how you get that euphoria back. And that's how you finish what you started. And that's what I'm doing right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2020. It's 3 goals of mine that I was supposed to have accomplished by June. We're in October. But I told myself, regardless of what happens, I'm still going to finish what I started. Even if it isn't in 2020, even if it carries over to 2021, I'm still going to finish what I started. Because I owe it to myself. I owe it to my imagination. I owe it to my dreams to do that. And you owe it to yours. It ain't about nobody else. It's about you and your goals. So it's okay if you haven't finished it in the timeline you thought you could finish it in. It's okay if you're still struggling. Just step away, get some peace, reset your mental, talk to God, and move forward little by little. If you're writing a book, write a page today, then write a page tomorrow. If you're doing a podcast, do an outline today, do an outline tomorrow, and just record. It ain't got to be perfect, just record. If you're building a business, continue to fine-tune your business plan. Continue to identify where you're struggling in your business so you can make it better and so you can succeed. Regardless of what your career is, regardless of what your business is, you know what you need to do. I said this before. You know what you need to do. Nobody else might not know, and nobody else needs to know, but you know what needs to be done. So step away, get some clarity so you can get that euphoria back. So you can see the missing pieces to the puzzle, because you can't see it right now. You're too clouded with depression and anxiety and worry. You can't see it right now. But if you step away, you can see it. When you step away into prayer, you can see it. And then you come back and you finish what you started little by little. And I promise you, if you do that today, if you go forward a Alottle Bit today, by this time next year, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of where you are right now. I promise you that. It's simple physics. You go forward, you're going to continue to cover distance. So that's my message this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality. A Alottle Bit. A little bit, bit by bit, equals huge gains for your business and for your dreams. I know you're weighed down by depression, anxiety, all of these other factors. But if you just keep doing what you need to do little by little, you're going to cover a lot of ground. If this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for 2 things as always. Number 1, please pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. And please leave a 5-star review. I surely appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone. I'll talk to you next week.